Welcome to the Seeco installation video series. These videos cover the most significant adjustment procedures for our most popular products. In the following instructional video, we will cover the procedure for setting toggle on Seeco phase-over-phase switches. Toggle adjustment provides a simple but highly reliable means to keep the switch closed under challenging conditions, such as excessive pole deflection, vibration, and galloping conductors that would cause other brands of phase-over-phase switches to open unintentionally. Proper over-toggle of the switch will reduce operating effort, extend product life, and minimize future maintenance. Toggle adjustment also eliminates the need for latching devices used by other switch brands. Toggle adjustment is achieved through the placement and manipulation of the operating crank, pipe clevises, and interface pipe. Toggle places the pipe in compression when the switch is fully closed. This procedure applies to all phase-over-phase switches, including all voltage ratings and all current ratings. This procedure requires a long handle socket wrench with a half-inch square drive socket, a crescent wrench, tape measure, and a Sharpie or other marking device. Before beginning the toggle procedure, confirm that all lock segment, outboard bearing, and guide brackets are properly secured to the pole or switch support structure. Also, confirm that set screws have been pierced in all outboard bearings, universal joints, and pipe couplers. The vertical pipe column should rotate true without wobble or slippage. The adjustment procedure is straightforward if you follow the steps in proper sequence. Starting at the top, adjust each phase of the control column in sequence: top, middle, bottom. For 2- and 3-way switches, it may be easier to adjust the toggle for all ways of the switch on the top frame before moving to the middle and bottom frames. An interface pipe drives each rotating insulator. For each interface pipe, perform the following adjustment procedures. Attach 2 clevis assemblies to each interface pipe. One clevis is connected to the crank located on the vertical control pipe. The second clevis is connected to the lever arm under the rotating insulator. At both ends of the interface pipe, back off or remove the set screws from the 2 clevises so that the pipe can move freely in and out without obstruction. Slide the interface pipe in or out as required so that no more than 1 inch projects beyond the crank end clevis. If the pipe projects beyond 1 inch, it will prevent proper toggle. Pierce the 2 set screws on the crank end clevis only. Do not pierce other set screws at this time. To pierce the set screw, tighten the screw until you hear a loud pop. The puncture point of the set screw has first dimpled and then pierced the pipe. The screw will suddenly become easy to turn. Continue to tighten the screw only until the threaded shoulder of the screw makes contact with the pipe and becomes difficult to turn once again. Do not tighten further. The screw is now pierced and set. Please exercise caution if you are using an air-operated impact wrench. Excessive tightening with an air wrench can strip the threads of the casting. A long handle socket wrench is the recommended tool for this procedure. First, loosen the carriage bolt and nut and back off the set screws on the crank assembly so that it can rotate freely around the axis of the vertical control pipe. Raise or lower the interface pipe and crank assembly until the pipe is level between the rotating insulator and vertical control column. This can be accomplished by hand, working the crank and interface pipe in and out while lifting or lowering as required. Push the interface pipe with force inward toward the switch closed position until the inside of the clevis or the end of the pipe makes contact with the rib of the crank and the crank cannot rotate further inward. While continuing to apply force on the interface pipe in the closing direction, tighten the carriage bolt and nut of the crank. It is important that you do not let the crank or interface pipe back off the closed position while tightening the hardware. This is the switch closed and fully toggled position. Pierce the 2 set screws on the crank only. Do not pierce other set screws at this time. Before proceeding, You will want to confirm that the blade end of the switch is completely closed into the jaw. If not, pull the blade end into the jaw by hand until both are completely straight. With the blade end and jaw completely straight, the down thumb of the rotating insulator lever should be in direct contact with the closed stop so that no further rotation of the insulator is possible. If the thumb of the lever is not in direct contact, adjust the stop position to make contact before continuing. To continue with the toggle adjustment, push the rotating insulator clevis outward away from the pole. Using a marker or screwdriver, draw a line on the interface pipe on the inside of the clevis. Very slowly, swing the handle in the open switch direction until 1/4 of an inch appears between the inside edge of the clevis and the line you just drew. Again, push the clevis firmly outward. Tighten the set screws, but do not pierce. Tighten just enough to secure the clevis to the pipe and prevent slippage when operating. Now swing the handle in the close direction. The crank should snap over center into the close position. This motion is called toggle. Now operate the switch a few times at different speeds with a smooth, continuous motion. No slamming is required. After each closed operation, confirm that the blade end and jaw are completely straight. If the crank toggle's closed but the blade does not close fully into the jaw, check the positions of the lever down thumb and stop. If the thumb is not contacting the stop, repeat the above steps using 3/8 of an inch instead of 1/4 of an inch. After completing the toggle adjustment for the top phase, repeat the above procedure for the middle phase. When adjusting for the 1/4 inch reference dimension, it is often sufficient to open the switch slowly with the swing handle to the point where the crank assembly of the above phase comes out of the toggle. In most instances, the interface pipe of your phase will be pulled into the necessary 1/4 inch dimension. If the actual dimension you measure is greater or less than 1/4 of an inch, continue to open or close the switch slowly using the swing handle as needed until you achieve the required dimension. When the 1/4 inch dimension has been achieved, but before you tighten the set screws, look upward to the overhead phase to confirm that the blade end and jaw are still straight and fully closed. Straight is recommended, but a very slight relaxation or movement of the blade jaw engagement in the open direction is permissible as long as all 4 fingers of the female jaw contact assembly are substantially in contact with the blade end. The inset image provides a representation of the maximum permissible relaxation. If the contact fingers do not engage the blade end properly on the phase above you, you must close the switch with the swing handle and repeat the procedure, starting with pushing the rotating insulator clevis outward away from the pole structure and then remarking your reference line. Do not reuse your original reference line. When you have confirmed that the blade end and jaw of the overhead phase is either completely straight or relaxed within tolerance, tighten the set screws of the clevis but do not pierce. Now, repeat the above procedure for establishing the 1/4 inch reference line for the bottom phase. Again, tighten the set screws of the clevis but do not pierce. Now open and close the switch multiple times at different speeds. Visually confirm that all phases close simultaneously and toggle fully closed. The switch should remain fully closed when toggle is taken off and then open out of the jaws together. Once you have opened and closed the switch a few times to satisfaction, pierce the set screws on the rotating insulator clevis for all 3 phases. Is your switch configuration a one-way delta with one phase opposite? If yes, then please refer to the supplemental instructions on our website for toggle adjustment of the offset phase. Finally, a word about safety. The instructions outlined in this video are general guidelines only. They should never replace your organization's own work and safety procedures. Always take into account specific workplace or site conditions, personnel experience, and equipment capabilities. Thank you for taking time to watch this instructional video. If you need additional information, have questions, or wish to speak with a Seeco field engineer, please call 704-392-1396.